Warning! The root's on fire! You're about to experience the most high-octane, pedal-to-the-metal controversial show of your life. Please buckle up and hold on tightly. This station is not responsible for injuries. This is Wayne Allyn Root, raw and unfiltered, with America's favorite conservative rock star. Direct from the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas. What time is it? It's time for war! Here's your host, 100% raw truth, 100% American made, the warrior, Wayne Allyn Root.
I think it's my turn, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Lee Elsey, filling in for Wayne Allyn Root. Wayne, again, will be back tomorrow. The show is The War Zone, and you can email me if you'd like, leelciradio@gmail.com. That's LEEELCI radio@gmail.com. They call me the voice of freedom. I am broadcasting from this extremely boiling hot studio in Connecticut. I know I've been talking about that all day, my 4-hour morning show, the AC. In this one room only. The rest of the building is gorgeous and golden and a home run. But this one room, this one little office room. Well, it's not really an office. This studio is about 350 degrees. So if I wind up sweating by the time we are done, that is why. It's not because I'm nervous. It's not because I'm upset. It's because I am hot. Welcome to the show. Looking forward to it. We have one of our friends from the Heritage Foundation will join us in just a bit. I'm sure you've heard the audio from Donald Trump, but eventually I'll play it in this opening break here because I think it says a lot. A couple audio clips I have for you. But since the last time we talked, 24 hours have passed, and there was an exchange, if you will. I talked a little bit about the Iranians hitting 3 ships in the Straits of Hormuz, and then in the overnight hours, we struck them 80 different times. And Trump has said he's going to strike them again, possibly again tonight. And I thought, this morning on my morning show, I sort of talked a little bit about what Iran is essentially all about as a nation. Like we talk about the country, but it doesn't feel like a lot of Americans know anything about it. Like if I were to ask most people in this country, I hate to say this, but if I were to ask most people, hey, where is Iran? They would probably be like, I don't know, somewhere over there, somewhere in the Middle East might be the most intelligent answer. They wouldn't know anything about it. They wouldn't know how many people. They wouldn't know what religion it is. They don't know maybe the commerce. So I figured, if you'll indulge me, I'll give you a quick, very basic background on what Iran is all about. It's a mountainous region. It's basically almost like a fortress, believe it or not. There's plains, but it's essentially in a region, which is why it's very, very difficult to get to. And the religion, the state religion, is Muslim, like 99% Muslim, predominantly Shia, and I'll get into that in a second. So, roughly, like I said, 99% identify one way or another some form of being Muslim. The core, actually, commerce, the economy, the strength is hydrocarbons, natural gas, oil. They also do petrochemicals. Their top export is petrochemicals, iron ore, other agricultural products, minerals. That's what they send out. Other key sectors. They have an automotive manufacturing sector. They have pharmaceutical sections, textiles, carpets. And I say this to you guys because I think there's this thought that we're simply, dealing with a bunch of knuckle draggers who don't know anything about anything, and nothing could be further from the truth. I'm not saying there are a bunch of Einsteins running around, but they're certainly not third world. This isn't like dealing with Afghanistan. It's very different. Their major trading partner is China, by far. They also trade with Turkey, Pakistan, India, and that's essentially where they exchange most of their goods. Their employment by sector, essentially, their largest employer is the service industry, retail, public administration, education, healthcare, and hospitality, believe it or not. Their major industry, construction, mining, oil and gas related. Their agriculture, the number one thing is pistachios, believe it or not. They also have grains, fruits, and livestock. Their common jobs, for the most part, have to do with oil industry, petro workers, factory, manufacturing roles, those kinds of things. Some of their challenges, they have high youth unemployment in some periods. They, informal work. They have sanctions that have hurt them in the past. They have about 93 million people who live within the borders of Iran. Highly urbanized, which may surprise you. 77% of the people in this country live in cities. The median age is 34, so it's a relatively young population. Most of the people were born after the 1979 revolution, which is a lot. Their ethnic breakdown is pretty much, it's 61% Persian, and they have about 10% Kurds. So there is a battle within a battle inside, but Iran is ethnically and linguistically diverse despite the overall Persian dominance, the cultural dominance. It's basically a Persian country. Now, the military might. This is a little surprising. I thought on paper they had a better military, but according to my research today, they're somewhere ranked around 14th as far as the strongest military might. They have 610 active members, including the Islamic Revolutionary Guard. Their reserves are about 350,000. They have a large additional force that they can call on. Their strengths are large ground forces and defense in depth. They have an extensive ballistic missile arsenal and a growing drone arsenal, which we have witnessed as well. They also have some things that we're just finding out about. Although we didn't know about the super hypersonic missiles, they have those. Their defense budget is roughly $10 billion, which is modest compared to its capabilities or our capabilities. And I was thinking, in addition to some of this, like what is this? Like, what's the goal? Because I'm trying to get inside the heads of the new regime that's in charge. What's the goal? What do they want? I mean, do they want regional influence? I would assume yes. Do they want a nuclear capability? I think that's clear. That would be a game changer. They want to be able to, I think, trade more openly. That would be my guess. But their overall approach, as far as the military goes, is this fortress approach, right? But I think they want to prioritize independence, deterrence. They want the nuclear capability. And I think they want complete dominance over that region. And with a nuclear weapon, they get it. And because they've had 50 years of being some of the worst actors on the planet, there is absolutely almost zero trust that we can give them. And we've already now learned an early lesson in this negotiation with them. Maybe Trump has learned an early lesson, which is you cannot trust these people as far as you can throw them. They are constantly going to be battling you in one way, shape, or form for some kind of an edge, some kind of upper hand, some kind of dominance in some area. And, we gave them a whole bunch in this quote-unquote deal that we were supposed to have discussions about, in this evolving deal, this memorandum, if you will, of agreement. And they've already broken that, and we've hit them, and I assume that they'll break it again, and we'll hit them. But the question is, what do we do now? Like, Trump says he's going to knock them around tonight. Okay, I get that. But Trump says a lot of things. And it's hard for me to believe. Like, I'm of the belief that a negotiation at this point in time seems to be a bit far-fetched. We can't trust them. They don't trust us. They want to make sure that there's some kind of a disruption straight on through the midterms. I've talked about this multiple times. Wouldn't it be better for the Iranians if they had a weak leader? Would they want to wait until there's potentially a Democrat leader in the White House? Because then they can negotiate and get more of what they want. You would think a negotiation with Trump, certainly you're never going to get to that nuclear arsenal that you so desire. But, Trump, as many of you probably have already seen, had some very ugly words for his Iranian, I was going to say friends in a sarcastic way, but you can't even be sarcastic about that. Trump has now, it seems like he's gotten to that point where he genuinely dislikes the people that he has to deal with. And he had this to say.
I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. You know what scum is? They're scum. They're sick people. They're led by sick people. And they're vicious, violent people. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it. As far as I'm concerned, it's over. I'll speak to our negotiators. They want to negotiate. They're good people. Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. But they have to come back to me. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a waste of time dealing with them. They're liars. We make a deal. And if I make a deal with him, we have a deal. And he goes out, he talks. We make a deal. Everyone's agreed. No nuclear weapon. We make a deal. They go outside, talk to the press. They say, we never even talked about it. There's something wrong with them. They're cuckoo. As far as I'm concerned, it's over.
They're cuckoo. All right, so they're cuckoo. They're cuckoo. That was Trump early this morning. I got one more cut I want to play here in a second. But, okay, I know Trump has these bombastic ways to negotiate. A lot of times he goes above and beyond, what he's really thinking to try to give you this illusion that either he's on edge or he's very unhappy or, a deal is impossible. And, maybe this is one of those tactics. It's very possible. But when you call the people that you're supposed to deal with scumbags and lunatics and cuckoo, I think you have drawn this artificial line in the sand that I would think makes it kind of difficult for you to get to the same place on these negotiations. And considering that it seems like in this original negotiation, the onset of this, we gave up a whole bunch. And I don't know how much more we can give up and have the United States save face, if you will, and make sure that the ending deal is worthwhile and worthy of what we've already put into it. So I'm not really sure exactly how much more we can give, which leads me to think, okay, what's the next step? What are we going to do? I mean, we can't allow this uncertainty with ships in the straits. You can't do it. You can't have an economic or a global economy where a portion of that global economy flows through those narrow straits if these ships don't know if they're going to make it without getting fired upon. So what is the next move for the president? What else could we possibly give the Iranians that we haven't already given them that would allow some sort of formidable, long-lasting, not diplomacy, not even peace, but a long-lasting stability in that particular region so that the ships can go to and from and we don't get $6 a gallon of gas across the country? Because I think that's what everybody's looking at. The Iranians, I'm sure they're all about stretching this thing out, getting to the midterms. The more or the closer we get to the midterms, possibly the more Trump is willing to cave on certain issues. But I think we've already caved on about as many of the issues as we possibly can. That's just the way I see it. Obviously, I don't have all the information that Trump has, but from my novice position sitting here in this studio, smack dab in the middle of Boston and New York, I feel like there's only so many things that Trump can do now. We can continue to bomb them. People, emailed me this morning, let's bomb him into oblivion. But you don't want to start killing thousands and cases, maybe tens and hundreds of thousands of civilians. I mean, we certainly have the ability to do that, but we can destroy the infrastructure, we can destroy the power grid, but do we want to do that? That makes us look like the ogre, like the evil person on the world stage. And then Trump, was asked a question, and he gave this answer.
With the Iran ceasefire possibly over, can we expect the resumption of full-scale hostilities?
They are behaving very badly, as they have for 47 years. And, we hit them hard last night after they launched a couple of, you don't have to know about this, you got stuff on your mind, but they launched a couple of drones and one rocket, one missile, and at ships, because they were in the strait, which they have every right to be. And so we hit them very hard last night, very, very hard. Probably hit them hard again tonight. I'll give them a little warning, we're going to hit them hard tonight. But we'll see how it all works out. No, I'm not happy with them. It's like, for instance, we'll have a meeting and we'll talk about the denuclearization of Iran, because that's what the war is. It's not a war. It's really the denuclearization of Iran. And we'll have a meeting and we'll talk about just that. That's because my whole thing is not about regime change. It's not about that, although I think it's regime change when you knock out the first group, the second group, and now you're I think that's maybe the ultimate regime change. But that's not what it's about. It's about, we don't want them to have nuclear weapons, and it's denuking or denuclearization. And I think we've made a lot of progress. And they'll get out of the room. We'll talk about it like we're here. They'll agree on everything, and then they'll go have a news conference and say we never even talked about it. They're cuckoo. There's something wrong with these people. And for 47 years, they've been the bully of the Middle East, and they're not the bully anymore.
The only thing I disagree with a few things, but I do believe that originally it was about regime change. I think he thought by taking out all of the leadership in that one strike, you were going to get an uprising from the Iranian people, and it never happened. And I don't know if there was an exit strategy. I don't know if there was a contingency plan for the Straits of Hormuz. It just doesn't seem like, with all the smart people we have, with all the military might and the great generals and everybody who's sitting around those military tables, it feels like at this point in time, we didn't even factor in this idea that they could slow down shipping in the Straits. Otherwise, I think we would have looked at it very differently. Anyway, before we get to this break, Freedom Fest is happening. In fact, the World's Fair of Liberty is coming fast. It's actually technically here. Today is the 8th, and Caesars Forum Convention Center in Las Vegas, the most popular event. Freedom Fest every single year is the mock trial. This year, ICE will be put on trial, and Wayne Allyn Root will be the ICE defense attorney, and that's happening Friday, July 10th. So this Friday, not tomorrow, but the day after, Wayne will be doing his thing as the ultimate attorney. With Clarence Darrow, something like that? He'd be somebody that fantastic. But he'll be up there, and he'll be swinging and ducking, and there'll be 12 jurors picked from the audience. That might be you. Bottom line is war fans get a $50 discount on registration fees. You go to freedomfest.com, use promo code WAR50 for $50 off. That's coming up Friday, one-day special ticket to watch Wayne defend ICE in a mock trial. Go to freedomfest.com, promo code WAR50, and get a chance to see Wayne. We'll take a short break. We'll come right back. Keep it right here. You're watching and listening to War.
All right, one of my favorite guests ever, Allyn Pariser's with us, an advocate for GreatPatriotStore.com. He's been a customer for 36 years, almost 4 decades. My wife and I, Cindy, do much of our monthly shopping now at GreatPatriotStore.com. It's an alternative to wokeness. It's run by pro-American conservatives. USA Today voted it one of the best stores in America in 2025. And with all these communists taking over, Allyn Pariser, New York, Seattle, Chicago, promising cheap government groceries or free, you need to buy American. Tell us why.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of our competitors have completely lost it. They've gone totally woke over the years, but Our founding axiom is really very simple. For 41 years, we've been focused on manufacturing exceptional products at reasonable prices, made by Americans, here in America, for Americans. And we've expanded. We have manufacturing plants across the United States, distribution plants across the United States. And not only can Americans get the best quality, the best price from Great Patriot Store, in most cases, we can deliver to your front door even faster than Amazon.
So prices are high everywhere. Procter & Gamble and Amazon are considering price increases. How do the prices at Great Patriot Store compare to national brands?
Well, we've got hundreds of products, Wayne, but if you just take a look at one like our laundry detergent, we make it, it's patented, and it's literally almost fractions, almost half the price of our competitors. And you get 96 loads of wash. It's the best value. There's no toxic chemicals in any of our products whatsoever. And if you're looking to lose some of those holiday pounds, you don't need the shots with the LPG-1 drugs. We have something called berberine. Nature's Ozempic is what people are calling it. It's legit, it works, and we've got it at a better price than any of our competitors.
All right, we've got just seconds to go, so be quick. I love your beef. I eat your sirloin and your New York steak all the time. It's kind of breakfast and lunch for me all the time. Why is your beef superior?
Made in America, never, ever any hormones, ever any antibiotics, no mRNA. It's all prime. It's the best quality that you can find at the best price, free shipping, and it's the best beef on the planet.
All right, to get your free gift, that's right, a free gift, purchase the beef and other great American products. You got to be a member. Go to GreatPatriotStore.com, fill out the form. One of their conservative team members will contact you right away. GreatPatriotStore.com. Happy New Year. Thank you, Allyn.
Thank you, Wayne. God bless.
Welcome back, everyone. This is The War Zone. My name is Lee Elsey. I am filling in for Wayne Allyn Root. You can find me, leelceyradio@gmail.com. They send me emails from all over the country. It's always a lot of fun going back and forth. So it's leelciradio@gmail.com. If you would like, you can watch what's going on at the Gateway Pundit. It is the most heavily trafficked conservative website in the entire country, thegatewaypundit.com. Wayne's Rumble, Wayne's X, Getter, Root for America all have the video feed and, again, the audio as far as the great radio stations from one coast to another. Before we get to our great guest, I do want to remind you that this particular segment of the show is being sponsored by Energized Health. Listen, you've seen Wayne Allyn Root, man. He looks like an Adonis, for goodness sake, right? I mean, he's lost 25 pounds of fat, including the dangerous inner body visceral fat, gained about 10 pounds of muscle, and that inner cellular hydration. So he talks about it all the time. He did it all in only 88 days. Now, 5 years later, he feels the best he has in his entire life. He gives all the credit to Energized Health. Energized Health is not a traditional weight loss program. It's a fat loss program. It's a game changer. It's a life changer. And by the way, people right now are saying, man, I'm using Ozempic or I'm using the GLPs. Well, Energized Health is working alongside those pharmaceuticals to help minimize the side effects. And there are a lot of side effects. So it's fat loss the healthy way, not weight loss, but fat loss. And here's your chance to be like Wayne. Energized Health can change your life and supercharge your health just like it did for Wayne Allyn Root. Right now, Energized Health is offering the 40% off action discount. 40% off. All you got to do is say WAR. EnergizedHealth.com. That's EnergizedHealth.com. All right, special guest joining us right now. I've been lucky. On the radio, I've gotten a chance to talk to, dare I say, dozens of great folks from the Heritage Foundation. I have a number of regulars that are have weekly segments on my morning show here in Connecticut, and they are fantastic. And joining us right now, a PhD research fellow, Thomas A. Rowe Institute for Economic Policy Studies, and a senior advisor. He's at the Heritage Foundation, Allyn Mendenhall. Allyn, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it very much.
Hey, I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we got chaos again, man, right? So oil popped back up today. As of early this morning, I didn't get a chance to see it since about 10, 11 o'clock, but it was already up $7, $8. So I'm assuming that we can, if something doesn't drastically change here and we don't get some kind of deal, that the price of gasoline is going to go up, correct?
Yeah, probably so. I mean, today the price at the pump didn't really change, but the price of a barrel of oil is going up. And so, I suspect we're going to go back to where we were when the strait wasn't open, assuming the strait closes. I mean, hopefully we can keep the strait open. We're still at a point where we don't have nearly the amount of traffic that we had beforehand. I mean, we were getting 150, maybe on an incredible day, 200 ships through. Right now, on a good day, we're getting 50 ships through that strait. And when we're talking 20% of the world's oil supply going through that critical choke point, that's a big that's a big deal. So yeah, I think I would not be surprised to see the gas prices go up. And this is just as they were starting to come down too. They had creeped up from February, March, and April, and then May they peaked, and they were just coming back down. So disappointing, but not surprising at the same time.
So everybody, always asks this question, and I ask it of people, and it's always an unsatisfactory answer. And I don't expect you to give me a great I'll come to Jesus moment for everybody listening. But, everyone says that we're supposedly energy independent. And I know, oil is a global market, but why don't we just pump more? Why don't we pump more here and sort of limit the overall negative exposure we have to the world market? Can we do that, or is that just too hard and too difficult to lift?
Well, part of it has to do with regulations, which have been eased in the current administration. And part of it has to do with if you're a private company and you think that this conflict is just going to be really short, you may not want to spend all the money it takes to start ramping up production if you think the conflict's just going to be short. We've been dipping into our oil reserves quite a bit, but yeah, there's really nothing that stops these companies from pumping more, and they may have to. Look, they may have to. One interesting dynamic is Venezuela has the #1 largest proven oil reserves in the world, but they have all this kind of crude stuff that isn't refined, and we have the ability to refine. So now that we have this new relationship with Venezuela, it'll be interesting to see if we're able to tap into some of that oil. I know both Exxon and Chevron are starting to expand operations down there, so we'll see. There's just so much corruption and stuff like that is inhibiting to the access to oil there. But we'll see.
But is there a way for, let's say, these United States companies, whether it's Exxon or Mobil or whoever, I mean, if they were to produce more, can they decide where they sell it, or does it have to go on a global market?
No, they could. I mean, they could decide where to sell it. Yeah, I mean, okay. I think it's good for our oil companies to export. I mean, we are, we're like the #1 producer of oil, and we have been energy independent since 2019. Where we're really, really good is the liquefied natural gas, though, because we have these shale deposits in like New Mexico and Texas that just don't exist in other places. I mean, you can't just be a country that just says, oh, let's just try to like increase our liquefied natural gas, because we're talking about like millions and millions of years of sedimentary activity that just can't be replicated. China actually has more extensive shale deposits than we do, but they're in these really arid areas that are tough to get to. It's really hard to frack because the ground's really hard there. So even though they have more extensive shale deposits, it's more difficult for them to get to them. So we're just lucky in that regard that we just have the topography, we have the geography, we have the history and the natural resources to be able to get that liquefied natural gas. And that's a really key thing, because that's where we get our energy. The oil is for the travel and the transportation and jet fuel and putting it in our cars. But that energy stuff is really important, especially now that we're growing in AI, because a lot of that AI is going to depend on that type of energy.
Talk to me about the political ramifications. You mentioned Venezuela, right? So there are some people who truly believe that Trump is playing this 3D game of chess while we're all playing marbles, right? So we're all playing checkers and he's doing the 3D chess. And you get Venezuelan oil. Okay, you have pseudo control over that. And if we were ever able to get the Iranian oil, or at least some control over how it's dispersed, we would then essentially have China almost at their knees. Do you think that was part of this plan on the onset? I mean, some people think that's like a 50, 60-year plan that was put in place, prior to, right about the time of the Iranian Revolution. I mean, is that something that you think is a possibility?
I have a hard time imagining that it wasn't at least a factor when you take into account that the number one importer of Venezuelan oil was China, and the number one importer of Iranian oil was China. I find that hard to be a coincidence. Some other kind of geopolitical dynamics that are different now. In light of the Strait of Hormuz closing, you had UAE as of May 1st say, we're out of OPEC. We're tired of these quotas. We want to pump as much oil as we want. And, we've got other OPEC countries that are cheating without consequence. And what do we get out of OPEC now? We're not getting anything out of it. Let's get out, and now we can pump as much oil as we want. And so when the strait becomes fully open, I mean, it's open now, but it is not fully open. Like I said earlier, we're not getting 150 ships through every day. But when we do, and UAE is pumping oil, that's going to be a big game changer. Especially if you have other OPEC countries look at what UAE is doing and say, wait a second,
right? They're
going to do that. Let's do it too.
Well, speaking to that, I mean, a lot of people don't know anything about the petrodollar, and we're talking with Allyn Mendenhall from Heritage Foundation. And a lot of folks think that maybe, with the Iranians, India, I think, got together, China as well, wanted to flip, if you will, how oil was bought and get it off the United States dollar, if you will. Yeah. So is that part of this equation? How important is it for us to keep that petrodollar?
Well, gosh, yeah, that's a tough question. I mean, I think it's important for sure. Whether that would actually happen, I don't know. Crazier things are happening. There are things that I say, I don't see that being possible. Well, I've said that about like 5 or 6 things that happened over the last 5 or 6 years. So who knows? Right. But, the one thing that we really do need to do is get this situation in Iran figured out, because it is contributing to inflation. I mean, headline inflation is at 4.2%. And the reason you can tell that the oil situation is contributing to that is because if you look at core inflation, it's still below 3%. Headline inflation, as measured by the CPI, includes energy costs and food costs, but core inflation doesn't. So when you remove the energy and food costs, and you see that core inflation is that much lower, you realize, oh, yeah, it's definitely this oil situation is definitely what's given us these inflationary problems. And so, we've got to figure that out, or else we're going to have to deal with that. We get a new CPI report next week, by the way. I'm looking forward to that to see, at first I was looking forward to see how much better is it going to be now that gas prices have dropped? But now that we've got this new change here in Iran, over the last 24 hours, I might be looking at it to see what hasn't changed, or what may have even gotten worse.
Anybody who does the food shopping in their family knows that inflation is still it's a heavy burden on every household. You go to buy the most basic foods now, and it's you're looking twice, you're looking 3 times. Families are making a decision. I'm making a decision whether or not to put back that box of cereal. I always talk about that. I looked yesterday, as a matter of fact. I was walking through, and they had this special on a box of Cheerios. It was a big box, but it was like $6. I mean, $6 is the special price. That's crazy. I mean, what world am I living in? So yeah, I think hopefully that the gas prices can come down, because as well as everybody, the idea that the midterms are right around the corner, and the last thing we want to do is lose the House and potentially the Senate, because nobody can afford their regular bills every single month.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And that's the only thing that really the Democrats can latch on to is Iran and this inflation. But it is important keep it in context. I mean, yeah, we've got 4.2%, but it was 9.1% under Biden with gas prices over $5. So we have short-term memories and we forget that. And it's important to bear that in mind just to contextualize things. The other thing is, we've gotten pretty good jobs reports. I mean, this latest one was beneath expectations, but it was still not bad. I mean, our only real bad month was February, where we had some declines. But the other thing is the stock markets are going gangbusters. I guess not everybody has access to capital markets and can invest, but those who do are seeing, records. I mean, the Dow Jones has hit 21 records in 2026 alone. And that's not even counting the records that the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ have hit. I mean, we're seeing rallies that are unbelievable. Obviously, today wasn't a great day for the markets, but it's one day, it's a one-off. So people are seeing those 401ks, as the president continues to remind us, making astronomical gains. And, maybe this is a good thing with the Trump accounts to get these young kids invested early on with looking at capital markets, learning how to invest, getting financial literacy. So I see a lot of positives. The gas is the most negative, but again, to contextualize it, it's not nearly what it was under Biden.
So give us a little bit more detail on the latest BLS job report. What is it? What insight can you tell us moving forward from that the latest report? I think it came out yesterday?
Yeah, well, I guess the positive is that we did gain jobs. So it wasn't what we were expecting, but we did gain jobs. Unemployment stays about the same. It shows that the economy is kind of stable. It's resilient. But one interesting thing is where we were gaining jobs. I know earlier in the year people would say, "Oh yeah, we had a good jobs report, but it was just all healthcare," and as if that were just like a totally bad thing. But this time we saw gains in the category of professional and business services, and so that's like, you're professionals, engineers, lawyers, accountants, whatever, scientists, and that type of stuff, which is interesting to me. That suggests, I think, a very positive sign that some career-oriented sectors are growing. And I guess, we're also seeing, hiring in some ways, it's wages are still growing, hiring is cooling. I mean, the only positive you may take from that is that it signals that we might have Fed Reserve cutting rates later in the year. I don't know. We've got on the dot plot, we have suggestions that the Fed's going to maintain rates or maybe even raise interest rates. I personally don't like anything that the Federal Reserve does whatsoever. But I wish the thing didn't exist. But if you're trying to take it from the president's perspective, he's been calling for a reduction in interest rates, and if you're on board with that, that would be a positive. I get nervous about the Federal Reserve lowering interest rates to artificial rates, because that's also how you get inflation. If you just put too much circulation into the money supply, too much money in circulation, and you risk stimulating the economy based on artificial numbers, that's always a bad thing. So that stuff makes me nervous. But yeah, I think the jobs report is for the most part, it was below expectations. But is it bad news? No, it's not bad news. It's just news.
All right, we're talking with Allyn Mendenhall. I got one more for you before we run out of time, but this is sort of a 30,000-foot view question. I'm sure you get it all the time. But, you mentioned artificial intelligence. So I know with the birth of the internet, jobs were created because of the internet. This feels different to me, right? It feels like artificial intelligence, for how amazing it is, and it's going to be incredibly destructive to jobs that you may farm out to somebody else. Like you don't need graphic designers anymore. You're not going to need anybody to do these tasks that even creative tasks that the middle rung folks would do down the road. You don't need anybody to talk to you about real estate. I mean, the number of jobs that are going to be replaced or eliminated, I mean, it's almost endless. Where do you see that? Do you see a lot of new jobs or equal jobs being birthed from AI, or do you see a massive loss there in the end?
Well, I share the anxiety, but I try to keep a historical perspective in mind and look back over the course of centuries. I mean, we panicked when the printing press came out. We panicked when we had cars. I mean, there are a lot of jobs that we don't have anymore. I mean, there was a huge demand for train conductors at one point, and we don't do train. There was a huge demand for switchboard operators and
horse and buggy drivers, right?
Anymore. So yeah, a lot of things like that, and so I try to bear in mind that there are things that will come out of AI that are just unforeseeable. We don't know what they're going to be. That's the whole notion of Schumpeter's theory of creative destruction, is that you get some really disruptive technology that comes in, and it does eliminate jobs in different sectors, but it creates new jobs that are totally unanticipated, and it's because they're unanticipated that I can't say what they're going to be. So I just have to be hopeful that AI follows the historical pattern of other innovations and other technologies that came about, and that we'll find new things and new forms of jobs. But I do share the anxiety because I don't have a crystal ball. I can't see the future, so I share that anxiety.
Allyn Mendenhall, tell everybody where they can find you and the pieces that you've written and what you got going on over at the Heritage Foundation. Yeah,
well, thanks. My website is www.allynmendenhall.com. I say that because it rolls off the tongue. I had this one host make fun of me because I throw the www. He's like, you don't have to say that anymore. But it's just my name, allynmendenhall.com. And then, of course, you can always go to the Free Enterprise Initiative at the Heritage Foundation and look at what we're doing there. We're doing a lot of cool corporate engagement where we're filing shareholder proposals with companies that are doing some bad things. So that's fun work.
Outstanding. Listen, I appreciate it. It was great talking to you. Let's do it again real soon, but I thank you, and I'll talk down the road.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
All right, brother. You got it. All right, we'll take a short break. Don't forget, you can watch what's going on, thegatewaypundit.com, Wayne's Rumble, Wayne's X, Getter, Root for America, all those great spots. Of course, if you're listening on one of the great radio stations across the country, thank you for doing that. We'll take a short time out. You are listening and watching The War Zone.
All right, Wayne Allyn Roots. Joining me is Silvano de Genova, owner of Tangible Investments. Sil, I've known you forever, and I've been buying gold forever and silver forever and rare coins forever. It's great to have you with us. With the Iran deal done, how do you see the economy and inflation moving in the near future?
Well, nothing's really changed. We're in an inflationary environment. The government deficits are through the roof. The reality is that oil prices may come down, but inflation is going to be with us long term.
How does inflation impact the demand for gold and silver?
Well, the more inflation there is, the more demand there's going to be for gold. People want to get away from their paper assets. They want to hold something that is going to hold its value or appreciate in an inflationary times. And gold and hard assets are the only real thing that are an insurance policy against this type of inflation. And the reality is we may still have rampant inflation. And we saw that under a different administration. And this one's doing okay to try and buckle it down. But long term, government spending is not going to stop. The world government spending is not going to stop. And that's going to be good for gold and hard assets into perpetuity at this point.
And world debt is not going to stop, and America's debt is not going to stop. It just keeps getting higher and higher. How should buyers of gold and silver know which gold products to buy and what to avoid?
Well, they certainly don't want to buy products that trade or are being offered at big premiums. If you're going to buy gold as your hedge, you want it as close to the spot price of gold as possible. Right now, we have an anomaly. You can actually buy some fairly rare coins at no premium or very little premium to just bullion coins, like $20 gold pieces that are 100 years old. We're selling them at $50 over the melt price, okay? Or you can buy bullion coins from us at a very small premium over the spot price. There's a lot of gimmicks out there, and a lot of companies selling certified gold coins at big premiums and saying they're a gold investment. Well, they're not. I mean, you're going to have to overcome their markup.
If you want gold, silver, precious metals, or rare coins from a real firm with real credibility and honest pricing, call Sil. Tangible Investments is Silvana's company, 4351, or go to the website they created just for my fans, rootforgold.com. Tell them War sent you.
Whoa. All right, I think we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Did I just cough into the mic? That's just unprofessional of me. Send me home. Tell me to take the rest of the day off. I never done that. I never did that. I got my own button here that says the cough button, and I wasn't prepared. Maybe nobody heard it. Then again, maybe everybody heard it, and then I'll be very embarrassed. This segment is brought to you by Tangible Investments. Yeah. How important is it to own gold? Yeah, that'd be nice. China's central bank just increased their gold reserve for the 18th consecutive month. China is preparing for what's coming. Are you preparing for what's coming? Buying gold may not be enough. You need to buy at the right price. And this is where buyers get misled. Other gold companies say we charge 1% over cost, but whose cost are they talking about? The real question you need to ask is, what are you charging me over spot price? Then compare that answer to Tangible Investments. Tangible has been in business for more than 40 years. They've handled more than $2 billion in transactions, and their team brings over 200 combined years of experience. Right now, Tangible Investments is offering gold bullion at just 1% over spot. That's unheard of, ladies and gentlemen. They offer silver as low as 3% over spot. If you want gold, silver, precious metals, or rare coins from a real firm with real credibility at honest pricing, call Tangible Investments right now, 888-330-4351, 888-330, that's 888-330-4351, or go to the website they created just for Wayne's fans. That's rootforgold.com, rootforgold.com, and tell them War sent you. Okay, let's talk about one of the subjects I think I talk about probably more than any other conservative talk show host in the entire country. And this country is a republic. It's a republic our founding fathers built on liberty, self-government, and unapologetic American exceptionalism. All right, follow along. And I want to ask you the question before America dissolves into something unrecognizable. When it comes to Islam, are we in the West just too stupid to survive? Look around. After more than 2 decades since 9/11, countless terror attacks, waves of migration that have stained our cities and our culture, we still cling to this myth. The myth of the moderate Muslim. We treat it like gospel. We act like if we pretend it's really not happening, then it will disappear. The incompatibility will disappear. It won't. So let's be honest. We are a constitutional republic. We are built on Judeo-Christian values. I talked about that yesterday. Individual rights, assimilation, whether you like it or not. And not every ideology can coexist without changing who they are. You have to coexist here. You have to cede some of your own culture. We are a great melting pot, and that's a wonderful thing. Anybody who says a conservative doesn't believe in the great melting pot is lying. They're not being factual. But Islam, as practiced and as preached in its foundational text, demands something fundamentally different. A global caliphate where Sharia rules and Western freedoms bend the knee. It's just a fact. Think about it. What other toxic ideology gets a polite moderate prefix? Have you ever heard this before? Think about it for a second. They always have to throw moderate in front of Muslims. Were there any moderate Nazis in Congress, even in Congress before World War II? No. Were they cherry-picking good parts of Mein Kampf? No. Are there moderate Klansmen who only lynched on weekends? Are there moderate wife beaters who promise not to leave bruises? Of course not. It doesn't work like that. Those ideas were rightly rejected because it just doesn't make any sense. But here in this country, we want to throw moderate in front of Muslims to make everybody happy. Why do we do it? Ilhan Omar has become the poster child for this so-called moderation. Ha! But she shows up in Western clothes, stylish turbans, groomed eyebrows, nail polish, and all of it. But you know what? The Islamic doctrine is clear. Women must be fully covered. Altering God's creation is forbidden in many ways. And Muhammad cursed women who dress like men. But why does she get away with it? Well, she's in a position of extreme power. She used vulgar language in Congress. She's done everything essentially against the Muhammad. But Muhammad himself, again, called out these cafeteria believers hypocrites, is what he's called them. He's reserved a special worst place in hell for all of them. But the bottom line is, the reality of Islam isn't hidden. It's in the Quran. And women like Ilhan Omar are just tools of that Quran. You may call me crazy. You may think I'm out there. You think maybe I talk too much about this stuff. But I've watched what has happened over in Europe. I watch what's happening in some pockets here in this country. I watch what's happening on my doorstep here in Connecticut, in New York City. And in a culture where husbands may beat disobedient wives, where non-Muslim women can be taken as spoils, where if you're a homosexual, you get stoned. There's certain levels of violence that you'll incur if you listen to music or play chess or laugh too much. You can take a beating for that. True fact. And in some cases, innovation in a Muslim faith is forbidden. Imagine that. Imagine not being able to be innovative. How does that jive with America? That's what we're all about. We're all about innovation. We're all about capitalism. We're all about this amazing experiment of the Republic. But it doesn't work through the Muslim lens. It just won't work. Our republic thrives when newcomers embrace our language, our laws, our culture of liberty. Not when they import parallel societies demanding special accommodations. You can't come here and demand that wherever you're living is a mirror of where you came from. If that's the case, why are you coming here? I talked last week about the grooming gangs in Europe, no-go zones in Europe, demands for Sharia courts in Europe, honor violence, and terror plots that have happened right here in this country. And every time we prioritize diversity over assimilation, we weaken the bonds that hold us together. To throw myself into the mix, again, I've talked about this before. My grandmother spoke broken English. My grandfather didn't speak any English. I never knew him. He was dead before I was born. But they came here and they worked as hard as you possibly can work. And they learned how to speak English. And they put two other, my grandmother could speak 3 languages, Italian, Albanian, and eventually English. But they came here to assimilate, to live this amazing lifestyle of freedom. They didn't come here to bring Italy with them. The idea of out of many come one is an idea that we all should hold. Not out of many a fractured caliphate in waiting. That's not what we want. And leftism it compounds the problem, tearing down our own heritage while importing one that despises who we are. And the left cheers that. Somehow that is compartmentalized by our progressive friends as being like the holy grail. You have to be so welcoming to the diversity to the point where your own culture is destroyed. And guess what? This isn't Islamophobia. It's a pattern recognized, rooted in 100 years of history with the Islamic faith and their doctrine. This is what they want to do. They've said it. We're going to come. We're going to ask for your tolerance. We're going to ask eventually for your forgiveness. And then we're just going to multiply. And in the end, we're going to run different sections of different areas. And before too long, we're going to run more and then more and then more. And then next thing you know, you're looking like Europe. I just ask you, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if this sounds like a foreign language to you, just go, Google Islam, the Islam invasion of England, and just watch. Just soak it up. I'm not making this stuff up. So if I have to be one of the few people that scream about this at least once a week, I'll be the one lunatic that screams about this once a week, because I watch it happening in New York City. The socialist angle of the Democrat Socialists of America through Mondami is bad enough, but the socialists, as I've talked about before on this show and my own, the Muslims are using this socialist angle as a way to infiltrate all of it. We have every right. We have a duty, by the way. I have a duty. You have a duty to scream at the top of your lungs that your culture is okay. To systematically destroy it is not okay. It's not. And it's time for us to really secure the borders and chain migration and the refugee pipelines, the hostile regions coming in here. Demand full assimilation. Or you have to be repatriated. I mean, what are you coming here for if you don't want to? You can bring your culture with you, but you can't take your culture and replace it with mine, or vice versa, take my culture and have it replaced with yours. You need to teach your kids, by the way, the truth about this. You need to educate everybody in your family, all the people in your inner circle. Our founding fathers warned us over and over and over again about foreign influences undermining liberty. And they gave us this republic, as Ben Franklin famously said, we have the republic if we can keep it. And can we keep it? It's a great question. We are fighting things on all fronts, whether it's internal strife, whether it's the fight against ICE, whether it's this fight here against the Muslim invasion, whether it's a fight against the socialist ideals. We are constantly battling in this republic of ours. And all of us who are, I think, righteous and stand for what I think is the freedom and the liberty and what the founding fathers wanted, we have to fight together. We have to get arm in arm and try to make a magnificent difference before it's all said and done. I mean, Islam isn't like Italian or Irish immigration. It's not like that. Assimilation into America was what they wanted, what my grandparents wanted. It was part of the fabric of coming here. I mean, it's a comprehensive political, religious system. That's what Islam is. It's different. It's got its own legal code that claims supremacy over man-made constitutions. And we've ignored this and acted like it's not really happening, but it is. And polls are showing growing support for Sharia among Muslim populations in the West. And right now is the first time ever that more Americans support what's the Palestinian side of things than the Israeli side of things. There is a definite tilt in the way things are perceived in this country. So the question, I guess, is the question isn't whether moderate Muslims exist as individuals trying to live peacefully. I mean, some surely do. Of course, some surely do. I'm not trying to condemn all of them. The question is whether you can bet our civilization's survival on it. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to bet your kids' survival on that? And America First, which I think most of us want to live through, means putting our people, our culture, our Constitution first. A pro-republic means defending the rule of law against any rival legal system, not laying down because you think people are going to call you an Islamophobe or somehow they're going to call you racist or whatever image or term that they can conjure up to try to belittle you or slow you down. I mean, if we refuse to face this reality, if we keep importing a problem while silencing debate, I'm just looking for debate. then yes, we may be too stupid to survive. There's a video circulating on, these social media sites. It popped up, I think, on my Instagram, where there was an Englishman walking down the street, and the police were waiting for him to say anything. All he did was say something just slightly negative about Muslims, and they put him in chains and hauled him away. England. Free speech has been minimized. Fact. Absolute fact. So we all still have the spirit, I think, of 1776. We can choose strength and clarity, and we can choose this exceptional republic over disaster, I guess. All right, I think that's it for me. I'm sweating bullets here, and I want to thank Wayne for allowing me to do this. It's always fun to fill in for Wayne Allyn Root. My thoughts are he'll be back tomorrow, right here, he'll be in his own seat out in Vegas, but he'll have his, I think he stands up. He stands up during his show. Anyway, you can watch what's going on. The Gateway Pundit, Wayne's Rumble, Wayne's X, Getter, Root for America. Write that down in crayon. Put it up on your refrigerator. And remember that, because maybe you're having dinner, maybe you're having chicken cutlets or some spaghetti or something, and you're like, you know what? I feel like I need to hear some Wayne. And you log on to the Gateway Pundit, and voila, there he is, like magic. So check that out. It's always fun. You guys have a fantastic day. We'll do it next time, and keep watching and listening to The War Zone. See you.
My new book is out, How Illegal Immigrants Have Made America Great. You can only get it at Amazon. How Illegal Immigrants Have Made America Great. Finally, all of their unsung achievements in one book, and it's 100+ blank pages. Okay, get it? It's a gag gift, and it even says on the front, warning, do not show this book to Democrats. Their heads will explode. And the greatest gag gift ever for conservatives, Republicans, MAGA patriots, and anyone born in the USA. How Illegal Immigrants Have Made America Great. 100 blank pages. Go get 10 copies, 20 copies. Give it out to all your friends so they get the message that illegal immigrants have not done anything to make America great. And by the way, understand my theory here. Legal immigrants have done lots of things to make America great. Our whole country is legal immigrants. My grandparents were legal immigrants. Your grandparents were legal immigrants. Your great-grandparents were legal immigrants. John Jubilee is with us, owner and founder of Energized Health, energizedhealth.com. Hey, John Jubilee, what's going on?
Hey, mighty Wayne Allyn Root. Great to see you, brother.
All right, we got a quick video to play, and then we'll get to our conversation with John. So play the video.
I am tickled to death. I feel better than I have in years. I went from being on Ozempic for 13 years. I didn't realize how much strength I'd lost and how much it was affecting my life. I'd been in the hospital from pancreatitis caused by Ozempic. My digestive system's working properly again. I used to carry around Rolaids all the time. I can't believe I'm getting my life back after being subjected to that stuff for that many years. I'm off of it. I can't be happier. That was my biggest goal. You told me that you could help me, and you have.
All right. Johnny Jubilee, you've done a great job for all my fans. And the big issue now is so many people think they found this miracle drugs, or drugs, plural, because it's this entire range of GLP-1s, Ozempic, Mounjaro, many others. They become very popular. Why do you think they're popular? I think it's because it's like fast food, right? Nobody wants to put in any effort at all. They want to pop a pill, and they want to magically be thin. It doesn't work like that.
No, you're totally right, Wayne, and it really is. It is an actual epidemic. It is epidemic proportions. So listen to these numbers, Wayne. There's over 40 million Americans on it today. Another 30 million anticipated to get on in this next 12 months.
Wow.
So I love it, Wayne, that, as only you are a crusader of truth. You're a crusader of truth. And so I believe, Wayne, this show that we're going to talk about today will be something people can go back and say, I remember where I was on April 6th, 2026 on the Wayne Allyn Root Show. John and Wayne talked about this issue. And 24 months from now, Wayne, there'll be 70 million people shaking their head saying, I wish I would have listened, to what those guys say. And here's what I want to say about it, guys, is look, will you lose weight on Ozempic? Absolutely, you're going to lose weight. You're going to lose water, you're going to lose muscle, and you're going to lose some fat and some bone. And some bone. Yes, you're going to lose bone density. So this is real science. This is not my opinion. This is not Wayne's opinion. The scientific studies are already out. Ozempic has been around for decades. You just heard a gentleman, he's been on it for 13 years. By the way, he got fat. He gained 40 pounds of fat on Ozempic because it only works, guys, for the first year. And then you start gaining back all your fat, but you never gain back your water, and you never gain back your muscle, and you never gain back your bone. You are permanently harmed from doing these drugs. Even Oprah, Wayne, said it. She said, I did it for a year, and then I worked out and I ate the protein. I did everything they said to do, she said, and I still gained back all my fat. So it is not a long-term solution, guys. It is absolutely something that is super short-term. But Wayne, can I just say a gracious statement to everybody? Because listen, there may be hundreds of thousands of people watching us today. You're already on it. Listen, if you're on it, then guess what? You better give yourself a safety net. You better give yourself a safety net. And the perfect safety net is the Energize Health Protocol. Because why? Because we help you gain your hydration. Ozempic guarantees you're going to lose hydration. We guarantee you're going to gain it. They guarantee you're going to lose your muscle. We guarantee you're going to gain it. So you might as well protect yourself from the two guaranteed side effects, by the way. Now what they don't guarantee, Wayne, but they do warn people, like you just heard this gentleman, Robert, share, he did get the pancreatitis. You can get permanent blindness. You can get digestive disorders. Your stomach could be paralyzed forever. So there's a lot of other negative side effects that could come. But the two that are guaranteed, Energize Health, could come hand in hand. If you already are on the Ozempic and you're in your 1-year term of it, guys, give yourself a safety net to gain your healthy hydration, gain your muscle, and possibly offset your pancreatitis. You saw a client just now. He reversed his pancreatitis that Ozempic gave him. He reversed his digestive issues that he had to have the antacids all the time. So at least give yourself a safety net if you're one of those people who have chosen, I'm going to take the Ozempic, listen, we have grace for you guys. And obviously that guy joined Energize Health on Ozempic. He was already on it when he joined. But somebody must have told him, even if you're on Ozempic, these guys can help you better. And Wayne, we could share the other part of the testimony maybe next time we're on. He lost about 40 pounds of fat on Energize Health, not on Ozempic. 13 years he couldn't lose it, but then he lost 40 pounds of fat and gained his muscle on Energize Health. But he did it while on Ozempic, guys, and then got off of it.
I've always thought, John, that people that do too much aerobic exercise, like marathon runners, just look too skinny. It's not attractive for a man, as an example, to be super skinny. You have to do a little weightlifting, too. Muscle is just as important as aerobic. And as a matter of fact, I've seen study after study that shows that weightlifting actually helps you lose weight even more than aerobic activity in some cases. So I can't imagine what a person's life is like who has lost a large portion of their muscle density. They must look horrible with no clothes on. Maybe they look skinny with clothes compared to the way they used to be obese, but when you take the clothes off, they must look and feel awful, and it can't be good for you in life to be losing muscle. What does that do to you?
Yeah, well, Wayne, again, I can't even make this stuff up. But look, we have the internet. You guys could go look these up on Instagram or Facebook. Two phrases, Ozempic face and Ozempic butt. And again, remember, I want to quickly say, I am sharing with you, I'm holding out my hand of saying, hey, join us like Robert did. If you're on Ozempic or you're thinking of going on it, come and join us. We will love to help you to not have the negative side effect, including Ozempic face, which is where your face ends up looking basically like a Halloween skull, or Ozempic butt, where it looks just like, eight saggy butt things hanging there. You can see these pictures on the internet, Wayne. They're horrifying and mortifying to think that people look good in their clothes, but like you said, they take their clothes off and now they're just like this saggy, sack of skin. They're just a saggy. Yeah, there you go.
Right? They look like skeletons. Scary. And I mean, I got to tell you guys, I'm not bragging because it's not me. I don't take the credit. It's John. I got on the Energized Health program and I look as good now as I looked since I'm in my 40s. I look much better than when I was 50 years old, which was 1 year before I was 49. And I look much better. And when I take my clothes off, I look like a football player. And that's from Energized Health. I gained muscle and I lost fat. I look great. These people look like skeletons. So I would say don't go on the Ozempic, don't go on the GLP-1s. But if you are on the GLP-1s, how does your Energized Health program help people who are on the GLP-1s, on the Ozempics, the Mounjaros? What does it do to you while you're on those things that are killing your muscle?
Well, Wayne, again, this client that you guys just saw, you heard him say it, 13 years he's on Ozempic. And again, we'll share it for you to hear. And in fact, if you guys call in, just ask for his video. It's about a 6 or 7 minute video. We'll send you the whole thing. And you can hear it out of his mouth. But while on Ozempic, he gained fat. But on Energized Health, he lost almost 40 pounds of fat and gained about 15 pounds of healthy, lean muscle and hydration while he was on Ozempic. So if you're on Ozempic, if you're thinking of going on it, listen, you can have what he had because we're transforming that body at the cellular level. And again, Wayne, I have nothing better to say to somebody than, look, here's a guy that was on it for 13 years, and he's still got the positive effect of an Energized Health protocol to gain his hydration, to gain his muscle. And I have to quickly say, Wayne, you are 100% right. 1 inch of muscle will eat more fat. 1 inch of lean muscle that you gain will eat more fat in 1 year than running guys for 5 miles a day. That's the power of 1 inch of lean muscle.
I'm the living proof. I'm Exhibit A for Energized Health. Changed my life, extended my career, and made me a lot of money by getting me a lot of new TV shows and podcasts at a very advanced age for TV biz. Go to EnergizedHealth.com. Say war for Wayne Allyn Root. Get 40% off. Do it now. EnergizedHealth.com.